the issue is the Middle East and the issue is Syria, and we're given the idea that Assad has to go. It has to go. And I want to know why he has to go. And I hear he tortures and he's got too many people in prison, and now he's bombing and there's gas involved. But the whole scenario's there, and I don't know the origins of these stories.
Well, you know, this thing, whatever, if there is an objective truth about the Syrian government, you know, this is such a complex subject to go into. But in any case, one point to make is that there always has to be a madman in the Middle East, or a dictator. There always has been. You go all the way back to the 19th century. Like in 1890s, there was a gentleman they called the Mad Mullah of Somaliland. Well, Somaliland didn't have any mullahs, right? But it was a nice kind of alliterative title that went well with the British media. And in fact, the Mad Mullah of Somaliland was a sheikh. He belonged to an Islamic order, right? And what you might call him, you would call him as a proto-nationalist. Okay? And then you look to Sudan in the same period of time, a bit earlier actually, the same period of time, when you had the dervishes, savages, barbarians, so forth and so on. And you ask, what was the problem here? Well, the problem was that their territory, their land had been invaded by the British. Okay, and naturally they were resisting. And you can follow this all the way back to the 19th century. So, and in the 20th century, they portrayed Nasser as a dictator. In fact, Nasser was actually a moderate person. He wanted to get on with the Americans, in particular. And the problem was that Israel, he had problems with Israel, you know, and you know that was the reason why he had to be brought down. So he was a dictator. You look at Mossadegh of Iran. You know, they couldn't portray him as a dictator because he wasn't, but they had to find out some other kind of reason from making him look either nasty or stupid. And the fact is, he used to wear for interviews things that clothes that the British media laughed at and said were in pyjamas. And he tended to cry because he was an emotional man. So they had many reasons to laugh at Mossadegh and get him out of the way. You know, so this is kind of this process. You know, whenever there's a situation which offends them and they want to sort out, they like to personalise. They like to pick out one person. Oh, he's the madman. He's the dictator. You know, and that's the key to the whole situation. Once we establish that in the public mind, well, we can destroy them. We can go ahead and destroy them. You know, and you know this whole business about Syria. I mean, if you actually look at the Middle East and North Africa, go back to the first time in modern history that a Western army appeared in the Middle East was 1798, when Napoleon landed in Egypt, right, and tried to conquer Egypt, and the British got wind of it and sent a fleet out and destroyed the French fleet, and that was the end of Napoleon's mission, right? But from that time onwards, if you look at the whole of North Africa, all the way across the Middle East to the Gulf, you will hardly find a country that has not been attacked. You'd be hard-pressed to find one that has not been attacked. Many of them attacked many, many times. And in many cases, those attacks served many purposes. Like, for example, Egypt, when the British occupied Egypt in 1882, it was to get their hands on Egyptian cotton, tobacco, sugar, also the hands on the canal. Right, and also it was a testing ground for new weaponry. Here's the relevance of this when we think back to the attack on Iraq in 1991, or that kind of hushed talk on the news broadcasts. You know, they've got these smart missiles. They don't need telling what to do. They can turn corners and do all kinds of things. Well, in the 1880s, it was the warships, kind of reinforced steel plating, hydraulic gun platforms. I mean, they've never had them before. You know, if you wanted to change targets before that, the whole ship had to turn around. So they had hydraulic platforms. All they do is turn the gun, and they had massive kind of cannons and had shells that could go almost 2,000 yards. You know, so in London, all the military people were kind of like really excited about this. How is this all going to work? Because what the Egyptians had on shore were like pop guns. They couldn't even reach these ships. So it was a kind of a done deal. They were going to win They're going to win. But so you follow that all the way through from the 19th century, and there are always reasons for attacking these countries, always justified. In the 19th century, called civilization. We bring civilization to these people.
Christianity.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't use that so much. No, not really. Missionaries might try that, but generally it was what we're doing for these people, not what we're doing to them. Right? And always there'd be a lot of violence. Like
the religious factored in come into it? Their religion, I mean.
Well,
Islamic.
always the missionaries followed the flag.
No.
You know, they went in there and they would kind of do their bit. But if you look at Egypt, for example, when the British bombarded Alexandria, you know, blew it to bits before the army landed.
Yeah.
Well, then, of course, the moment they did that, well, the local people reacted.
Yeah.
They were very upset.
Yeah.
And then Britain said, well, we have to restore order.
Yeah.
You know, the gangs were out and destroying things and setting fire to our property and so forth and so on. And that's what goes back to the print media in London. It's what the public believes. You know, our people are being attacked in Egypt by these savages. And that tends to be the pattern. It's been repeated time after time. Right, down to the present day.
Down to the present day.
Yeah. And if you look at Syria, well, all right, okay, people say, oh, it's an authoritarian, repressive regime.
Yeah.
Okay, I can accept that.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But you look at Syria's history, going back to the First World War, there was this piece of land on the map called Syria.
Yeah.
So when they got their hands on it, they cut it up. That's the first thing they did.
Yeah.
They butchered it.
Yeah.
Right? The British took southern Syria, which is Palestine. The French cut one part off the coastal region called Lebanon.
That's right.
In the 1930s, the French gave Iskandariya to Turkey.
Yeah.
Now it's the province of Hatay, with more than the 50% Alawi population, okay, and people who still actually believe in Bashar al Assad. Right? And then we move forward to the modern period, the immediate post-World War period when Syria became independent. Finally, independent in 1946. 1949 had their first coup. Who organises the coup? The Americans. Why? Because the elected Syrian government won't grant rights to the tap line to the Aramco, Arabian American Oil Company, to build a pipeline from Saudi Arabia across the Mediterranean, across Syrian territory. The government says, no, we don't want this.
Okay.
Right? So the Americans intervened with a bit of help from the CIA.
Yeah.
They put a colonel in power. Right? So you can, and then in 1956, at the same time the British are planning to attack Egypt, the Americans are planning to overthrow the government of Syria again. Right? And you move that through, all the way through to the modern period. So Syria has continuously been under attack, under threat, target of assassinations, coups, dirty work of some kind or another. So what do you get out of this? You're not going to get a democracy.
No.
You're going to get a state that's permanently on its guard, that's watchful. Right? And then people turn around and say, look at this system.
Yeah.
Right? And the fact is, you know, people point the finger at Bashar.
Yeah.
Well, Bashar could go tomorrow and the system wouldn't change.
No, exactly.
Right? Now, Bashar, Syrians, many Syrians believe, is popular. It's the
Yeah.
one thing that the people in Washington or Britain don't want to believe. Bashar is liked by the Syrian people. They might be critical of the system, they like Bashar. And many of them believe that he is the best hope they have of actually changing the system. Right?
Okay, now the explanation for this, well, there's a couple of million on the move, don't want to be in Syria. And we see pictures of them and they look middle class and young kids. What's the parallel to that? And what's it like? Is it like...
I've never been in that situation. I don't want to be in that situation.
No.
It's been going on in the Middle East since 1948.
So that, yeah.
Right? The big exodus of 1948 from the Palestinians from their land.
From Palestinians.
800,000 people.
Yeah.
Okay. Iraq.
Yeah. They're still there on the borders wanting to go back.
Of course. Well, because
so
they're
are these
homeland.
people going to go back, or they want to go to Germany? Do you think? Why?
Well,
why?
I couldn't speak for them,
No.
Bruce, but I think many of them want to go back to their homeland.
I would think so.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
You know, but they can't because of it's in complete turmoil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're the issues that puzzle people, and
But the thing is also, Bruce, I think that, you know, people, what the media doesn't really want to show is that we were told from the beginning that all this is about repression of popular protests by the Syrian government.
yes,
And
that's right.
alternative evidence which the media, the mainstream media, will not present is that the attack on Syria was actually well prepared,
Yes.
right? And they wanted to hit Syria, and they waited for the moment. And this, once again, there's a template for this in Latin America.
Yeah.
I mean, how did the United States carry out kind of coups in Guatemala or
that's
Chile?
true.
You wait for this, for the people to kind of demonstrate over some economic issue.
Yeah.
Then you move in behind them,
Yeah.
right? And that's more or less what happened in Syria.
Yeah.
And people say, oh no, it was kind of a peaceful protest, and
Yeah.
only much later did they become violent, which is
Yeah.
not true,
No.
because they were violent from the beginning,
Yeah.
right? And that's what the media would not tell its readers or viewers.
And do we know much about fragmentation of what was called the rebellion, you know. Like apparently there are tribal elements, there are militias, independent militias under various autocrats, and there's ISIS, and there's a bit of Al Qaeda left, I imagine. All these elements. I mean, are they? Do we know the quantities and the passion?
Yeah,
is it just passion?
Well, no, tribal. It's kind of, the tribes are part of it, because particularly in Iraq, we know that there were terrible kind of conflicts between the Islamic State and the tribes, and the Islamic State butchered lots of tribes in Iraq.
Yes.
But the position is that those countries, all of them, that is Libya, or Syria, or Iraq, we didn't have these takfiri, jihadi elements before.
No.
Right? So it's the destruction of those countries that has created the cracks right, in the landscape from which these people have managed to come up. Right? I mean, if you look at what they did to Syria, okay, they wanted to destroy the central government. They didn't succeed in doing it. Now, it was very clear from the start that Syria was not Yemen, Syria was not Libya, Syria was not Tunisia or Egypt, Syria was Syria, and what would happen in Syria would be very different from what happened elsewhere. Now, those people, the Americans, the British, the French, the Turks, the Qataris, the Saudis, they all thought, oh, we're going to push really hard and we're going to bring the government down. They didn't succeed in doing it. All they succeeded in doing was weakening it. Now, we know that, and what they therefore created was, in northern Syria in particular, but also in other parts, was a kind of a vacuum. Now, in some respects, that vacuum was filled by people they were supporting, the armed groups. In some cases, it was filled by people they didn't want to be there, like the Kurds in northern Syria. Right? Erdogan, the Turkish president, is very angry because the Kurds took their opportunity and kind of established some kind of autonomy over the Kurdish region in northern Iraq, just over the Turkish border. So, in some ways, it's the law of unintended consequences. You know?
The other element that is different, I think, is things like beheading. We haven't sort of seen that before. Is that connected somehow to this generations of frustration? I mean, can you explain that from anything we did?
They would go back to early Islamic history and to justify beheading people. All right. But I mean, this doesn't. What the Islamic State in particular is doing cannot be called Islamic.
No, right.
It cannot be called Islamic. No, not just because of the absolute brutality and sadism of what they're doing, but they're destroying Christian churches. Now, this doesn't fit into Islam at all.
And antiquities.
There's no, but the antiquities. I mean, the antiquities were there for 2,000 years without one Muslim government touching them. But when it comes to Christian churches being destroyed, there's no place for this in Islam. This is actually against Islam. This is a violation of Islamic principles to destroy churches, because Christians, Jews are protected.
So you'd have to go back.
No, you wouldn't have to go back at all. There's no place for it.
But it has happened, though, hasn't it?
No, at the beginning.
Way back,
right at the beginning. Right at the beginning.
400.
No, right at the beginning. Right at the beginning of the 7th century.
And the religious, even the religious purges and crusades, for one. We did it.
We did it. But when, in terms of minorities, religious minorities, like within Islam, right at the beginning, when the Jews of what we now call Saudi Arabia would not accept the Islamic message, they were attacked and many of them were killed. But once Islam was consolidated as a kind of state religion, you go back to there's nothing. There's nothing there. Right? You're hard pressed to find any kind of way in which religious communities were touched.
Well, that is one of the major things, and you sort of wonder whether is there a Martin Luther Muslim?
I didn't like Martin Luther.
Start something a bit different.
Martin Luther was a terrible person.
Was he?
He was anti-Semitic. I mean, if this.
That's right.
I think who was the Nuremberg Tribunal? I can't remember whether it was Goering or Goebbels or someone stood up and said, "Well, actually, don't blame us, blame Luther." Right. That's where it came from. Right. And also, he was on the side of the princes. Go out and slay the peasants. Well,
whatever he did, he did nail a few things on the door, and it'd be nice if they nailed a few things on.
I agree. But I totally agree that Islam has been taken over by arch conservatives, reactionaries. These are people who interpret their own religion in a very selective way. Right? And if you actually go back to the earliest stages of Islam. If you take up women's rights, for example, women's rights, the greatest scholars of the age back in the Western 14th, 13th, 12th century took up these questions, and what they had to say about women's rights was extraordinary.
Really, yeah.
Totally extraordinary.
That's interesting.
Like, yeah, they allowed contraception.
Yeah.
Even one of the schools of law, schools of law would allow abortion if the family was too big, and they couldn't deal with another child.
Yeah.
They regarded the woman as a sexual creature, not just a chattel of man, entitled to sexual satisfaction. And where do you get this in today's Islam?
Exactly.
And these were the greatest figures of the age,
Yeah.
the greatest thinkers of the age and philosophers.
Yes.
So that's all kind of been whitewashed from their history. If you're going to draw a cartoon of the Caliph sitting in Mosul, have you seen him?
No, I haven't. Oh, I've seen a few.
He was photographed kind of, heckling the crowds and wearing a very flash watch.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I remember that bit. Yeah.
I think that's what I'd home in our foreign cartoonist.
No, Caliphs come in. Well, we've got a bit of a problem there about because then you suddenly got to be careful. You're not putting a case for the beheaders.
Right.
You know.
Well, no.
And I think
but mocking them is
mocking them if you can.
Yeah.
But then you watch your own head then.
Well, yeah, exactly.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Hebdo and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know. But basically, I don't know how you treat religion. I mean, you sort of hope it would all modify a bit.
Would you? I mean, like I've got funny feelings. I'm not religious in the slightest bit.
No.
But I would not myself choose to insult Muhammad.
No.
Or Christ. I wouldn't see any point.
No.
I'd go for the priests. I'd go for the imams.
Yeah.
I'd go for the ayatollahs. They're all fair game.
Yeah.
Why would you want to go back to a foundational figure and dump on that person? I mean, this is a personal view of mine.
Yeah, no, I agree with that one.
Yeah. I don't quite get it, you know.
No.
They're too far back in history.
And I quite like the hymns too and the music.
Ah, right.
The old cantatas.
This must go back to your school days.
Probably does, yeah.